So, there's been a huge announcement coming out of the U.S. Army's Chaplain Corps. We're talking about a major policy shift, and it's all in response to what's being called a real problem that's been building up for decades. So, what is actually going on here? Let's break it all down.
Okay, so to really get what's happening now, you kind of have to look way back to the beginning. The entire announcement was framed around this quote from George Washington himself, from all the way back in 1775 when he founded the Chaplain Corps. The idea back then was really simple. Chaplains were supposed to be there for spiritual leadership, especially during those times of public distress and danger.
All right, so what is this real problem they're talking about? Well, according to the speaker, this is a crisis that's brewing right inside the Chaplain Corps itself. He's making the case that its original purpose has been seriously weakened over the years, and that's the whole justification for these big changes he's about to roll out. So, how did we even get to this point? The speaker lays out this timeline. For 200 years, he says, the Corps was on mission. But in recent decades, he argues, its role got degraded by what he calls an atmosphere of political correctness and secular humanism. Basically, a move away from traditional faith. The way he sees it, chaplains were basically turned from ministers into, well, therapists, swapping out faith for self-help. Now, to prove his point, the speaker really hones in on one specific thing, a single piece of evidence, the Army's own spiritual fitness guide. His detailed takedown of this one document becomes the foundation for all the changes that are coming. And this is where things get, well, really specific. He literally did a word count of the guide. Get this. In over 100 pages, the word God just once. Meanwhile, feelings shows up 11 times, and playfulness gets 9 mentions. But the real kicker for him? The word virtue isn't mentioned at all. Not even once. And he didn't stop there. He points out that the guide defines a soldier's spirit with these, well, what he calls New Age notions: consciousness, creativity, and connection. And for him, that's just a world away from traditional religious guidance. And this, right here, is what this speaker points to as the central irony of the whole situation. The guide itself says that a whopping 82% of service members are religious. But then, in his view, the guide's content completely ignores them, alienating the very people it's supposed to be helping. So, what's his final verdict on this spiritual fitness guide? Well, he sums it up with this quote. He says, "In short, it's unacceptable and unserious." Pretty blunt, right? That really sets the stage for what comes next. Okay, so after tearing that guide apart, the speaker wasn't just talking. He announced 2 immediate, concrete actions to start fixing things. Let's dig into what they are. All right, directive number 1 is pretty simple. Toss the guide out, completely. He announced that its use is being stopped effective immediately, and went on to say that materials like this have no place in the War Department. It's a total and complete rejection of the document he just critiqued. The second change is a little more behind the scenes, but he argues it's just as important. It's all about paperwork. Apparently, the old system for coding a soldier's faith was this super complicated mess. We're talking over 200 different codes. Some of them weren't even being used by a single person. So the new system, it scraps all that. It's a simple, streamlined list. The whole idea is to make it a practical tool so chaplains can actually, minister better to the flock. But, these 2 changes, they're just the beginning. The speaker made it really clear that this is about something much, much bigger. He's talking about a long-term vision for the whole Chaplain Corps, and these directives are just the first step in restoring what he sees as their true purpose. And what's that bigger goal? He calls it a top-down cultural shift. So this isn't just about swapping out a few documents. It's about changing the entire culture around spirituality in the military, right from the very top. So to show everyone what he's aiming for, he actually pulled out a definition from the 1956 Army Chaplain's Manual. It says, "The chaplain is the pastor and the shepherd of the souls entrusted to his care." By bringing this up, he's signaling a clear return to that traditional pastoral role, what he calls their esteemed position. So how are they going to get there? He laid out this 3-step path forward. First, they want to elevate spiritual well-being to put it on the exact same level as mental and physical health. Second, they're focused on creating an environment that's genuinely supportive for, as he puts it, warriors and their souls. And finally, the big one, restoring chaplains as moral anchors so they feel empowered to boldly guide their flock. The whole announcement wrapped up with a promise of more reforms to come really soon. So think about it. they've just scrapped a major guide and totally overhauled a key administrative system. It leaves us with the big question: what exactly happens next? What will these future reforms look like, and how are they going to reshape the spiritual life of the U.S. Army?